We're back to keeping it positive with the Cleveland Browns as we're on Shedeur Sanders Watch. Stefanski getting fired watch. Get well soon. We know you're back, Hawaiian Leprechaun, but this is a big week. Week 2 starting for the Cleveland Browns as Shedeur Sanders tests himself against the 49ers. I've been digging on this matchup, and I will continue to dig, but I got some more information to share with you guys today. More clips that I found, more from Sanders himself, all today. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We've been keeping tabs on these quarterbacks all year long. We've been keeping tabs on the practice reps. We knew more than big media about it. We told you that was just the tip of the iceberg as we covered almost every single practice rep that has been viewable since training camp. And that being said, you need to click that subscribe button because we're going to be here making fun of those coaches, making fun of ownership as they keep messing up the quarterback since they've been doing our entire life. We're on Shedeur Sanders Watch. We got a big game this week. And what's your confidence level in Shedeur Sanders from 1 to 10 that he's the franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? How are you feeling right now?
Jake, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being a lock. How sure are you that Shedeur Sanders is the Browns franchise quarterback?
How about a 4? I need to see a lot more than one game, but I was intrigued by the first appearance. I mean, Dillon Gabriel, I would have said a 1.
Yeah.
I just, at no point watching Dillon Gabriel did you feel like, all right, this guy has the upside to be a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. Shedeur has, I think, a little bit of the upside to maybe get there. I'm not predicting it. I'm not convinced, but I think he has a chance, which is more than I could have said for what we witnessed with Dillon Gabriel.
I'll say this, you have to give him grace. He's still a rookie quarterback. He'll have stints where the rookie comes out. It is what it is. You'll get some people out there, the haters, that will latch onto that, but you're also going to see a lot of promise this week. You'll see more than last week. You're going to see that coming up.
You know, you brought it up the other day about Gabriel, and it's just, man, people just want to crush him. Yeah. They just want to crush him.
Yes,
and it's
they
just,
do.
and it's not that we're sticking up for him. It's just, we look at him like he's a rookie quarterback, much like you have to look at Shedeur. He's a rookie quarterback because if you don't, the mistakes that he makes now are mistakes that if he grows and matures at a level that we have seen other quarterbacks in the NFL, that the mistakes you see now, you won't see in the future. Like, I like the fact that I didn't think Shedeur had the happy feet that he had in his first 2 quarters. But then again, I'm not going to get mad at a rookie who got thrown in the middle of a game who had never spent any time with the first team offense for having happy feet and maybe being a little overexcited in his first game. Why? Because he's a rookie. And there's a tolerance level you have to have. It aggravates me when we think that we have to put rookies out on the field and they all have to look like Patrick Mahomes or they all have to look like Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I'm tired of that.
You can't expect him to think that he sucks. Like, you can't expect him to be, like, wishy-washy. You have to have delusional confidence to achieve, like, high-end results, to be a high achiever, to get those goals that seem like they're unattainable. Like, you can't have doubts in yourself. Like, that's the mindset you got to have. Like, the only one that's going to bet on you in the beginning is yourself, and people ain't going to come along until they start seeing the results.
I just think that this is 2025, and he's a quarterback, for crying out loud. He's going to have some confidence in himself. He has to have confidence in himself, even to the degree of unrealistic confidence in himself. You have to.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a challenge to the team's coaches to harness that confidence and use it, but to also help him play within the system. So every team and a lot of athletes do have a section of fans that are completely devoid of reality. But if I allow that to fester and linger in my head, then I'm going to start saying things about the player that isn't true. Legendary, hashtag is part of his brand. He has people that are around him that are business partners. He has people that are around him that do media. You're allowed to have that in 2025. Quarterbacks have that in college.
World has changed.
We're seeing something that's different now when it comes to college quarterbacking. I understand who his father is, obviously, but I do think that there are people who are looking at it where you also forgot that he also said in the post game that he could have been better. and that this is a step forward for him. We missed that. So you see some of the stuff on CBS in the post game with him and Tiffany Blackman where he's like, yeah, that was right after that. But he also talks about how he can be better. He also talks about taking those next steps. He also talks about being a good teammate. He also talks about his teammates' support. But when we pay attention to what's right there in one snippet, and then we see all the people going against what the NFL has said, I think it annoys us as radio show hosts.
People hate his confidence because they don't have it. They don't have the confidence. They haven't achieved much. They don't understand what that really means. So when they see it, they think they're delusional, that they're just talking, that they're vibrant or whatever you want to say. But the fact is, they're just projecting themselves, and confidence is something you got to have, especially at a high level like this. Like, you can't go in with doubts thinking you suck. You have to be able to look at all this and understand, like, I'm the man right now, and I'm going to take it over.
Why would you root against him because he's Deion's son? I get the whole Rolex and the Rolls Royce around school. I get that. But, dude, you don't root against a kid.
Oh, the guy likes to dress nice.
And here's the deal.
He likes to have a nice car. He likes the women that like that stuff. Who is he hurting? The egos of fat sports writers wearing Hawaiian shirts never came close to top shelf pussy. That's why they don't like him.
He's not going to talk bad on Stefanski. Like, I don't know why you're trying to prod those questions on him. And I don't know if my channel is inducing some of that, but I know a lot of radio stations have hinted at that as well. But you got to give that a rest. Like, we've seen what we've seen. He's mentioned what he's mentioned about the practice reps. That's your answer. And he's going to put you down and be real with you, unlike Stefanski and everybody else with the Browns, if you come at him like that, because he's going to keep it real with you.
Hey, Shedeur, not from you, but all your supporters out there say that Kevin Stefanski was sabotaging you.
So you just want to start trouble, huh?
No, I want to ask you what your relationship with him is.
Yeah, well, what people do outside the building isn't really in my control. It's not in my power. So I don't. Yeah, like I go out there and tell them to do whatever. That's not nothing I could control or nothing I could do. But overall, I'm just happy to be here. Coach Stefanski, he's been coaching since I got here, and he's been doing a very great job, with everything that's going on.
But what is your relationship like with him and when we don't see you guys together?
Definitely like a coach. He tells me what I need to do on and off the field. We definitely grown. Our relationship and everything has grown. So I'm just thankful to be here.
Imagine if we had a competition between him and Dillon Gabriel in training camp, off the rip, in OTA's minicamp. Like, we had a legit competition where they had to cram every single day because it's limited practice reps, Pickett, Flacco, but they had to compete.
I feel like it'll be fun. I feel like it'll be very fun. You gotta understand, right now, I'm in grind mode.
Imagine iron sharpening iron. You would have had a better Gabriel, and Shedeur would be weeks ahead of where he's at in his development. Because remember, before Raiders game, 3 practices were stated. 3 practices. Imagine if you had more. Imagine where he was at, because that's what I imagined after draft day. Like, it just made sense trying to put the pieces together here. You drafted Gabriel in round 3. You got him in round 5. We know the context around him. And you're like, oh, this could be kind of cool. We get into training camp, and I see 2 veterans here. I guess they're going to battle for the starting job to be the bridge. And you got the 2 rookies. And you guys are going to let them fight it out. That just made sense. Like, you liked Gabriel. I don't like Gabriel to that degree, but what if you're right and I'm wrong? I don't know. I'll just look into this. I think this would be fun to watch every single day at Browns practice. I was excited for that. That's what I was hoping for. And then I'll say it. Once we got the rookie camp, that first practice, it just shined a light on me. I looked at that Browns orange, and I remember the Browns are going to be the Browns. They had all these quarterbacks for a reason. And I caught a hater for that. I was like, hey, I think the odds are stacked against them at this point. I think they're going to mess with them. Like, I got the feeling, because he was killing it in rookie camp, so it wasn't Gabriel. Rookie camp was just a fun little party. Then we get to OTAs. It's fun. Like, the Stefanski conspiracy theories aren't really out there yet. You're seeing Gabriel get a little bit of special treatment. You're also seeing him throw balls in the dirt, throw interceptions. Like, he's having a run of bad practices, so isn't Pickett. You're seeing that. Shedeur still completing 70-80% of his passes. And you get the minicamp, and then you start seeing Flacco taking those rest days and Gabriel getting work with the twos, and you're like, why ain't Shedeur getting work with the twos when we just watched Gabriel has some bad practices? And at that point, like, you questioned it, but you gave it some grace because you're like, well, they're looking at this round 3 versus round 5. I don't agree with it, but maybe they know something I don't. Now we get to training camp. The wheels fall off again, and they're still doing that shit. And that's when we have to go hard on that because grace period's over. Because what you saw from Dillon Gabriel in those games was in practice. It's not like it was a sneaky thing like he just couldn't play in games. Like, it was in practice. And, like, it started to become more than just a pattern. It's like who he was or who he is. And the competition, I believe, would at least helped you to get him to be, like, an adequate backup. I don't know if you even got that now. Like, I don't even know if you got that. Like, his prospect profile said this is a backup quarterback. And that's it. Like, you don't want him starting. You don't want to be your franchise. And you know what we've been seeing with Shedeur and what everybody saw. You even talk to AI, talk to Grok, ChatGPT, just have a Browns conversation with them. They'll say, like, hey, I would have drafted Shedeur. I wouldn't have picked up Flacco. I wouldn't have done Pickett. I wouldn't have drafted Gabriel unless he fell to like 6th or 7th, and I would have gave every rep to Shedeur. That's what they said looking at this analytically, because I've had those conversations. I was like, what would you do? Grok? That's what they came up with. And that's logical to me. And that's what I would definitely not have drafted Gabriel in the top 100. Like, nobody was forecasting that. Nobody had that on their bingo card. And here we are. But now we got the 49ers. And this is a game here that you look at the logo here and you're like, I'm kind of iffy. I'm kind of scared. Because I did that initially, looking at the schedule. You peel back some of the advanced analytics last few weeks ago, they're letting the rush get to the quarterback, which isn't what you want to hear with the Browns. If you're a Purdy fan, it's not what you want. You're looking at their pass rush getting to the quarterback, like advanced metric-wise, and I'm just using AI to get to these metrics so I can get to them, like not far off from the Raiders. And now you're looking at what they're allowing the quarterbacks and wide receivers. I'm using fantasy points per game. Top 10-ish in both positions. Points allowed. Middle of the road, allowing points to running backs. So you're seeing some edges here where the Browns can be sneaky. The Browns could be sneaky. I look for him to look improved. I look for me to keep digging this matchup to give you a deeper, more detailed analysis, but that's where I'm at right now. I think this is a sneaky matchup for the Browns. I think this is a sneaky matchup for the Browns right now. I'm still deep diving this matchup. I deep dive the Raiders matchup hard. Almost got Shedeur's numbers to a T. Almost got him to a T. The pick, the yardage, how the game went out. I mean, I was maybe not high enough on the sack rate on Geno, but I mentioned that, hey, why isn't nobody worried about Geno? Why is he worried about Geno? Like, you guys are worried about Shedeur. Why ain't you worried about Geno? Like, why ain't you worried about that as much? I think this pass rush might sneak this matchup, and all he has to do is what he did last week. And hopefully we can see a little bit more. Hopefully we see a little bit more. Now, if the rookie comes out a little bit more this week than last week, I'm just going to chalk that up to a learning opportunity. But I want that Cam Ward game. I want that Bears game. We got some other matchups. We got matchups with the Bengals. We got some fire matchups after this week. We got some fire games. That's what I'm excited about. I'm going to talk about that some more as we get closer to him. But we got some fire games here where he can go on a hell of a run. I hope that this 49ers game doesn't get too tricky to the point where Stefanski makes some moves after the game. My conspiracy theory is if he wants to move on from Shedeur back to Dillon, that they're probably going to fire his ass. They're probably going to put the kibosh on that. I think they're going to step in and fire his ass. I think that's it, because they're basically mathematically out of the playoffs if they go that. And I think Shedeur's more of the prospect, more of the franchise than Dillon. I think upper management, they have a history, and that was called out by Der Reuter from wherever he writes at. Maybe Plain Dealer or something. That they come over top of Stefanski on some of these moves. Also, rumors that Stefanski didn't want him as QB2. They didn't want him as QB2. But I guess that wasn't his choice. Like, we're here not because of Stefanski. If Stefanski had his way, Shedeur wouldn't be out there, from what I've read from the angles. Well, I'm reading not from words, but from these clips that I've showed you. And we went over it together. It was about a week and a half ago. We called that out. Stefanski didn't want him as the QB2. That means that we're not in this position when Dillon Gabriel went down, which means if Stefanski had his way, Shedeur's not starting. Which means if he wants to go back to Dillon Gabriel, I think they're going to be mathematically out of it. I think Stefanski's gone. I think he's gone. I think if Shedeur has a rough outing and they lose and he wants to go back to Gabriel, I think Stefanski's gone. I think they let him go. I think that's when you see Stefanski getting fired watch happen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.